Speedrunning anime so you don't have to. Hey, it's Dana, Copper Galley by day, anime speedwatcher by night. Welcome to Anime Quickie, where I turn 6-hour seasons into 15-minute plot bombs. No BS, no filler, let's break it down. Today, we're diving into this anime about a 32-year-old guy who decides now is the perfect time to become an adventurer, because apparently having a midlife crisis means you should go fight dragons. Our main guy, Rick, is a clerk at an adventurers guild. As a kid, he dreamt of defeating Kaiser Alsapiet, a monster in the legends of Yamato, but his parents discouraged him, telling him to not indulge in fantasies. However, he had a marking indicating that he had a special ability, but it never manifested even after he grew up and became a receptionist. One night, he comes across a giant troll attacking a lady. He attempted to protect her, but the woman, Renette, defeated the troll without breaking a sweat. Surprised by her strength, Rick reviewed his interest in becoming an adventurer, but she told him that it was too late to become one. Frustrated, Rick asked her out on a date, to which she agrees. On their date, they encounter numerous monsters, but Renette dispatches most of them until a dragon appears, which she couldn't kill due to PTSD. The dragon cornered them, but with nothing to lose, Rick directly confronted the dragon. However, when the dragon stomped him, his long dormant marker activated, unleashing his hidden inborn skill. He wakes up a week later after successfully killing the dragon. Renette informs him that he's lucky to survive and then invites him to join the Orichalcum Fist, the strongest adventure party who also aims to defeat the Kaiser Alsapiet. Rick accepts the invite, quits his job, and decides to begin his adventuring career. He attempts the Adventurers Guild's preliminary test at the age of 32 despite being way past his prime. Since he's being older than the other adventurers, most people brush him off and underestimate his strength. But later, they're surprised by the power he displayed. There in the examination hall, a noble named Fried is mortified by Rick's strength. He's so pissed off that some peasant is better than him. In his aid, Fried's sister Angelica steps forward and challenges Rick to a duel. Angelica is a knight second class, and she says the loser will become a servant to the winner forever. She uses her special moves and tries to strategically knock Rick down, but all her attacks turns out to be useless, and she eventually loses the duel. Rick successfully passes the preliminary exam and advances to the next stage, which is a mock battle. He comes across Raster, the eldest brother of Angelica and Fried that he defeated earlier, who happens to be an examiner. He tries to hit on Renette, Rick's partner, but is stopped by Rick, who pretends to be her boyfriend. Expectedly, things went up a notch when his younger siblings came to him crying and whining about an old man bullying them. Rick is excited to take a mock battle, learns that Lynx, a B-rank adventurer, also a late bloomer, was supposed to handle the exams. Rick and Lynx became friends due to the similarities. Instead of Lynx, it's Raster taking over the exam, sending Rick into a panic. With Renette's pep talk, Rick finally calms down and composes himself. Later, Fried, disguised as a fortune teller, tricks Rick and teleports him to where Raster's guards are waiting to dispatch him. However, Rick's party, Orichalcum Fist, comes to rescue him. It's later disclosed that Raster beat Lynx up, preventing him from handling Rick's exam. As Raster tests Rick in front of his siblings and Orichalcum Fist, he tries to poke a calm Rick with all his gloating. However, Rick sticks to Renette's advice of staying calm and solving problems rationally. Later, it's revealed that due to Rick's low magic reserves, something that an adventurer must develop before the age of 30, his trainers, Renette being one of them, honed his other attributes: physical strength, body control, and magic control. This means that Rick is not vulnerable to Raster's attacks. Technically, he's an S-rank adventurer, but he doesn't realize it himself. He trained to death for 2 years, and using space-time magic, he was healed and returned to life. Rick destroys the arrogant noble Raster effortlessly, who is only good at big magical reserves. He passed the exam and has officially become an adventurer. Rick has invited Lynx to visit the Orichalcum Fist. Lynx then comes to the base and shares the information about magical energy signatures that match the 6 grand orbs needed to open the dimension to Kaiser Alsapiet. A little later, the party heads out to obtain the magical orbs Lynx tipped them off about. After obtaining the red orb, the party discusses and plans to locate other orbs using its magical frequency. Rick, Browston, and Renette arrive in Heractopia to locate the other orbs. After investigating the nearby area, they come to discover that the Yellow Kingstone is set in a champion's belt of Heractopia's annual Fist King tournament. The belt is under the possession of a 3-time champion, Kelvin. The only way to get the belt, and thereby the orb, is to participate and win the tournament. Rick and Browston enroll in the competition and have to gradually fight their way to the top at a local gym to qualify. qualify. Rick's first matchup is against Angelica, who knows how capable he is and surrenders to putting up a fight. The biggest challenge for Rick is time itself. He has to fight 40 fighters consecutively within a week, and then have to fight through the West League. Rick, determined to qualify for the Fist King tournament, begins his 40-match campaign. Angelica quickly finishes up her 40-match tally and decides to watch Rick fight. To her surprise, Rick completes all 40 matches in record time, reaching the league requirement. Later, Rick meets a dragon man named Snape. The chairman of the West League, Calvin, the ex-tournament champion, reviews his excitement about fighting Rick and Browston. Both Rick and Angelica continue to beat their opponents until Angelica loses after pushing herself too far. The reason Angelica participates in the tournament is to call off her marriage with her fiancé Snape. Angelica tells Rick that Snape is sponsoring his younger half-brother Keith in the tournament for evil reasons. Angelica aims to defeat Keith in the upcoming match, and Rick chooses to personally train Angelica. Angelica's hellish training begins, and in just 5 days, she runs away, but Rick tracks her down and gives her a pep talk. He also brings Rinette to help Angelica train, and after the intense training sessions, she easily manages to win the next match. The long-awaited Fist King tournament begins, and the fighters are eager to unveil their catalog of powerful skills. Browston, Rick, and Calvin also advance through the first stages. Angelica is finally facing off against Geeth. Angelica replicates Rinette's Thread Slicer move against Geeth. This was a surprising event that even her opponent did not expect. Before Geeth could compose himself, Angelica launched another successive blow. However, her luck runs out as she barely manages to escape death. Thanks to Rick's interception, Rick promises to defeat Geeth in front of the audience the next day. Rick assures Angelica that she can achieve greatness through training, she just needs to accept the change. The next day arrives. Geeth and Rick are face to face. Instead of dictating the fight with his physical strength, Rick chooses to hold himself back to Angelica's level, who is there to watch the fight, to show her what she could achieve with that degree of power, consistent effort, and hardcore training. Geeth, refusing to lose, unleashes his bloodline technique that turns him into a dragon. But regardless, Geeth loses the fight. Seeing his brother lose, Snape is overwhelmed by a mix of surprise, satisfaction, and grief. He ponders on his feelings of satisfaction over his brother's defeat. Angelica tells Snape that their engagement is now off since he no longer has money. He betted on his brother to win, but he lost. He expresses his genuine feelings to her, revealing that he is interested in her. Later, during the fight between Calvin and Browston, Geeth goes on a rampage, leading to the interruption. However, Calvin knocks him out with just a single blow. As a result of mass injuries, the match is postponed to the next day. The rematch begins with both fighters showing firm resolve to snatch the win. After a dramatic climax, Browston wins and emerges as the rightful victor and advances to the next stage. Even after winning the fight, he appears to have the utmost respect for Calvin. Only Rick and Browston are left in the tournament. Just when Rick decides to withdraw from the tournament, Browston reveals that he's excited about their upcoming fight. Rick locks himself up in his room. Mazet, another member of the Orichalcum Fist, explains that Browston wanted to have someone who could fight on equal footing with him, which is why his training regimen was designed to train someone to reach Browston's level. Rick further learns that Browston was way too strong for regular orcs and didn't bond with other orcs in the cultural fighting custom. Rena ultimately convinces Rick and the fight starts. The battle between the two beasts begins. It not only captures the strength and capabilities of both fighters, but also emphasizes the raw emotions and drama that led to the fight. Browston reflects on his past, including the details about his origin, how he met his fellow party members, and how chasing after Kaiser Alcipia was so important to him. Inspired by Browston's backstory, Rick signals he will fight without dodging or defending, giving Browston what he always aspired for. Their fight becomes extremely intense to the point where Mazet evacuates all the people from the arena. Eventually, their fight damages the arena as the barrier protecting the crowd also shatters. Browston nearly beats Rick, but Rick stands firm because he wishes to give his mentor the fight he always wanted. He unleashes his skill Reckless Soul to match Browston's stamina and absorb his punches effortlessly. The enduring fight concludes as a tie, with both fighters passing out. Rick wakes up to the champion's belt beside him, and they finally acquire the Yellow King Stone. Rick and Browston reveal that they aren't interested in the champion title, and it is then given back to Calvin by default, as he's in the third place. The Orichalcum Fist returns home with Angelica, who is now getting trained by Browston. I would give this an anime a 6.7 out of 10, and here's why. Pros, it's really refreshing to see an older protagonist is actually being competent for once, showing us that life doesn't really end at 20 years old like most anime suggest. The training arcs actually make sense because we see him working hard for those powers instead of just getting lucky. Rick manages to be super OP without being super annoying about it. And the cons, we're still stuck with a pretty basic plot. The side characters feel a little bit one-dimensional. The hidden power trope is predictable. Here's the thing, this anime is like comfort food. It's not going to blow your mind, but sometimes you just want to watch old dude beating up cocky nobles and prove it's never too late to chase your dreams. As someone still figuring out life, I kind of needed this. If you want more anime breakdowns that say a few times, smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.